Hey everyone, Sean here, and today in this video I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about my review for Cyberpunk 2077's DLC expansion pack, which is Phantom Liberty. I just wanted to kind of do like an impromptu slash quick rapid fire review. I mean, that doesn't mean it'll necessarily be like, like a short video perhaps, or maybe, but I just wanted to just talk to you guys just straight from my mouth, kind of thing, instead of like, the usual review where I write the script and stuff like that. I just wanted to just get it out there quickly because there is some things to talk about, but not a whole lot, which is kind of the nature of this expansion in the first place. So where to begin, really? I mean, Cyberpunk really has had a really rough launch. We all know this at this point, but the game has been gaining updates over time. It's been fixed here and there a little bit, but the foundation was something to praise about, right? The core aspect of things was something to praise about, like the story, right? Some of those, like the philosophies within the whole like cyber world, right? Of being cyber, getting the chrome, right? The whole Choom thing, like the world building is really cool and such like that. It was just largely held back by the bugs, the glitches, and even some core aspects of it did provide some sort of detriment to the game of itself as well. But it was mostly, of course, the bugs and glitches and such like that. That definitely made the game very, very hard to consume, while the core aspect of it, for the most part, was good. And, a lot of people were just bagging on it. I myself, as someone who did play it, just had a hard time enjoying it, even though there were enjoyable things to be had here. But over time, right, at this point with 2.0 and of course, the long-awaited Phantom Liberty DLC pack, is the game good now? And I could definitely say it is a lot better than before, especially with the 2.0 update, which is separate from the Phantom Liberty update. So that means you don't have to download necessarily Phantom Liberty of itself to get the big patch and stuff like that. 2.0 is the big patch that fixes a lot of the things and of course overhauls a lot of the core aspects of your skill tree, how you level up, how you get money and stuff like that, how quests work and such like that, and how much more of a smoother experience it becomes with these updates and such like that. There were updates like that over time, right? With 1.6, I believe there's some overhauls here and there, but this was a very big one too. This was probably the biggest patch ever, if not one of them. And it definitely did help with the overall experience that I was having with Phantom Liberty, at least. Phantom Liberty of itself was a entertaining time. I've had a good time with it. It's about I would say like 10 hours, maybe 20 hours, depending on how you really want to go deep into this particular expansion, especially with the endings, the routes you want to take. There are four, by the way, and I did two major ones at that. And I feel like the two endings that I got were very polar opposites. Like, the good ending obviously was really good, although there were some bittersweet things, but mostly good. And then the bad ending that I did not realize I picked, actually, it was like very unbeknownst to me until it hit me, right? Like it became obvious. That one was like really, really bad, but also by the same time very interesting to see what is it like, right? Like what if this happened, and it was a very interesting route to take, to say the least. And I thought, I think they did a really good job kind of like really laying it out for those who did pick that route. So make sure you have a good save file before you do these choices, because otherwise, you're if you somehow like screw up on those save files, you're pretty much done. I think, like, because that bad ending it really literally takes out a lot out of you. V and all that stuff. Like you lose a whole lot of things in that route, and that's why I say it's a really bad but very like devilishly curious like route to take. It's a really good what if, and it's just very profounding, so to say. But I'll come back to that in a bit. I just wanted to talk about the general things about Phantom Liberty of itself. They do provide more quests to do, and especially introduces new characters, of course. And these characters are pretty cool. Unfortunately, you don't really get to have any more romance options. You're just kind of stuck with the ones you already had before. These aren't really new romance options, unfortunately. I thought that was kind of like the case like especially with like Solomon Reed, and then there's I think it was like Lisa or something like that. I forget her name. And then the new character Songbird. I thought she was going to be some sort of optional romance um character, but not really. I mean, it really kind of hit some notes of that too, but it just seemed like I don't know. It's omitted. That option is completely, or feature rather, is completely omitted. Unfortunately, for those who do like those characters, right? And those are like honestly like those are like the biggest major characters in the game, and of course there is the president of NUSA, or New United States of America, I guess, Myers, but doesn't really play a whole lot into the story. I mean, she is important in a sense, but doesn't play a huge major role beyond just her status alone, that she's the president. Okay, boop de doo, right? Beyond that. But like I like the new guns that came along with it. I mean, the of course the new updates did help with that too. And the 2.0 update, I believe, allows you to get some of the weapons you lost back, right? So in case like, especially Lizzie, right? I lost Lizzie because I accidentally either like scrapped her or like sell her or something like that. I lost it either way. It was a blue. It was a iconic. It was like one of the only blue iconic weapons that you can't upgrade over time. But I was like dumb at the time, and I just like scrapped it because I didn't like just see the importance or the significance of that gun, especially the iconic thing. But the fact that that can happen was a flaw of itself. And they patched that out. They made it so that you can't scrap or disassemble your iconic weapons, which is really awesome. Very good feature. I don't have to worry about like accidentally like scrapping my weapons and stuff like that. There are only few non-iconic weapons that I like to keep, and I have to be careful with that. Which I kind of wish there were locking features still, even from the get-go. But it is what it is. You just have to be careful, I guess. Just don't go too fast, I guess, on your disassembling run, I guess. But I kind of wish it was still a feature. That's one of my kind of gripes about this update slash Phantom Liberty review. And was there anything else I wanted to like kind of quickly mention? The skill tree, right? The skill tree is entirely different, and I believe that one comes from the 2.0 update rather than the Phantom Liberty update. But it is a lot more refined. I liked a number of the abilities that come with it, although I don't know what happened with the auto scrapping feature. That was an ability that you can get in the early tree, but they kind of like completely omitted that, and you can automatically scrap broken weapons, I think, which comes from the bad guys, not you. You can't break your own weapon. There's no repairing or like that, which, yes, thank God. There's no like durability on any of those weapons, I don't think, anyway. But yeah, the skills or the perks that you can get from those ability from the tree is a lot better overall. You can build yourself um, a character where you can actually air dash, right? And you can combine that with the seven the slow mo build, right? And you can combine that, and it essentially you just become like this flying slow-mo matrix ninja, and it's really awesome if you can pull it off right. I unfortunately wasn't able to fully build that, but I kind of see where that goes, and it's really awesome, you know. I don't have it on stream or anything like that, but I see the concepts of it. I see the appeal of it, and it's really cool. The fact that you can now air dash is really cool. The mobility stuff is really nice. Early on, it was just a dodge, and you didn't really couldn't do anything with that. And then the fact that crouch and dodge were the same button was like the absolute headache that came with that. But thankfully, crouch is now on your L3 or R3 on your stick. So that's kind of like Apex Legends. So I'm all for that. That's great. Um, and it definitely is a lot of a more refined experience in that sense. You have more mobility. You can get across the map a lot quicker, or the battlefield rather, and of course the vehicles, right? But we'll get to that in a bit. But I wanted to get back to the skill tree just a little more, and just wanted to say that I love the possibilities you could do with a number of builds, right? I'm going for more like a body, technical, and intelligence build for right now. I like the technical, or no, reflex too. I'm trying to level up my reflex stuff, so that way I can get the the whole air dashing stuff, you know, really refine that stuff out. So that really is going to be really fun once I get there, right? And that's essentially the basics of it. I love the new skill tree stuff. You can level up more. There's like more ways to level up, including the progression shards. It's really cool to be able to level up just by just finding stuff, right? It's actually really sick. Just like, you know, you're just like finding these random goons, and when you pick up the random like stuff they had on their person, you can pick up these random shards and skill shards and stuff like that too. And also you can also level up your cyberware capacity, which is like pretty very much new too. They also overhauled the cyberwares too, to where you can build yourself different things, right? Including the slow-mo stuff, right? It's like the Sandiski, whatever. I forget the name of it. It's kind of hard to pronounce, but the slow-mo skeleton that David had from Edge Runners, right? That became super popular because of that, right? But anyway, that stuff, the chips, the whatever bio chip and stuff like that, all those things have been very much overhauled as well. Um, and that also takes the clothes to a different route as well, where the clothes used to be your sources of armor, but now your cyberwares are your sources of armor, which makes a lot more sense. Which means that you can pretty much customize your guy or gal um, whatever you want essentially in the looks department. So you don't have to worry about like having this random beanie and then this random like jacket that mismatches like all your overall wear, and then like you're wearing this like these powerful disco pants or something like that, hypothetically speaking, of course. But the point is that you don't have to wear these like powerful but ridiculous looking armor or clothes. That all goes away because of your cyberware. Your cyberware is where your armor comes from and stuff like that. So that's all good. Very good updates. I like that because it allows you to customize your clothes, your outfits, and you can also save outfits, speaking of which, right? You can transmog all that stuff too. So if you have like because certain legendary clothes have some effects to them, and if you want to keep those effects, you can have it on your person and then transmog it with like your favorite looking jacket, your favorite looking shirt, or whatever. Transmogging is also a thing in this game now more than ever, so that's very, very good as well. Very welcoming feature. Now you can make yourself look like whatever you want without having to worry about your stats. All that comes from your cyberwares as well as your skill trees. So that's all great. I really like those updates, and that is also welcoming. So there are also other things to mention, right? Worth mentioning, and that is how you fight. a lot more things now take up your stamina, right? So you can't just constantly shoot now, because shooting of itself now actually drains your stamina. So it's kind of like a little more of like, I hate to say it, but like, like Dark Souls, or like those action RPG games where you're very much have to micromanage your stamina, and you kind of have to do it here too, but it's not as harsh, I would say. But you still have to like be on the lookout for your stamina. Like, it, you have to recover and stuff like that. Wait for your stamina to come back. But I guess depending on your build, your stamina can come back real quick. So just depending on how you build yourself. I like to have the body, right, because it allows you to open certain passages so easily, and then also I believe it does something to your health and your stamina too. So I think going with the body is very optimal, but I could be wrong on that. But anyway, that's probably why my stamina comes back so quick, is because I invested so much into the body side of things. Not to mention your carrying weight is still there too, so you have to be careful of what you pick up and stuff like that. Especially if you don't keep up with the scrapping or disassembly and stuff like that, or sell it to the vendors and stuff like that. So yeah, so a lot more weapons take up stamina, if not all of them. So that way you kind of have like more of an equal ground against or with hacking and stuff like that. Because hacking was previously superficial, but now it has like more to it. There's more stuff that you can pick up, like the legendary hacks and stuff like that. The combat hacks, the control hacks, so on and so forth. You can pick up so much more stuff now with the hacks that, or at least easily anyway, that um, it'll allow you to use that as a means of your style of combat. So now, because for this build or for this run of Phantom Liberty, I just went with the slow mo skeleton, which means I can just hit the two shoulder buttons and activate slow mo, kind of like with David, like I said, David Martinez in Edge Runners, for example, right? Um, that's the kind of stuff that I wanted to do whenever I actually really needed it, right? So that was very different, right? With the combat, with the stamina and stuff like that. I didn't realize until in the beginning, right, of Phantom Liberty. I was like, oh shoot, it actually takes stamina, so it kind of actually makes you have to manage yourself, and maybe it gives you more incentive to do those cyber hacks and stuff like that, and use those cyber wares. You make the choice, right? Do you want to have the slow mo stuff, or you want to have the cyberware? So now it actually gives you reasons to have these elements in the game, right? Because again, cyberwares were kind of like superficial to me previously. Kind of, you can just pretend to be a hacker, but you don't really have to hack. I did a lot more hacking back in the day, but it was like overall superficial unless you want to unlock certain treasures and stuff like that. But when it comes to hacking the enemy, I just felt like it's like, why do all this when I can just shoot them, right? And that didn't take stamina at the time. It just took up ammo, and especially these guns were super powerful back then too because of the mods you can add and stuff like that. They took away the ability for you to mod the iconic weapons. Those are all now just standalone weapons. You can't really mod them unless you put on like a sight or barrel. Essentially, the farthest you can go to an extent. The only thing you could do is just have regular legendary weapons that aren't iconic and mod them instead. But a lot of those mods too have been changed. So like none of the crit damage mods are in there. There's like barely any crit chance mods either. Because I think that's all you did, right? Was just more crit damage and more crit chance. And it really like, made the other mods kind of pointless at that point because you just did so much damage with those mods. But those all changed, and that also meant that the other legendary weapons that don't really have the damage are now equalized, including at least for me, Johnny's pistol, right? Um it's not called a samurai, but Johnny's signature weapon was equal to all the other guns now, right? And back in the day, like you had to like level them up or mod them heavily or whatever it was, or upgrade them to death. You can upgrade these weapons still. That's the only other thing you can do in this current update. But but now they're all like equally damaging and stuff like that. They have their like own ways of doing damage. You can like swap them out and have equal fun with each of these weapons, which is really cool. There are different iconic weapons you can get depending on what route you get. So like the evil route or the bad route, you can get whatchamacall, this character's knife or something like that, or this character's pistol. Meanwhile, if you take the good route, you can get this weapon, you can get this rifle or whatever it is. It's really, really awesome that you can get a number of these iconic weapons from these Phantom Liberty missions. And those of themselves were pretty fun, I would say, along with the story being pretty interesting overall. It was just I would say good. I wouldn't say it's like nothing mind blowing, but at the same time, with that said, depending on which route you get, hey, I mean, it was pretty good, right? Especially with the even with the bad ending, it was very interesting, very entertaining. It kind of plays with the whole like what if and stuff like that. The good route was a little more of like, all right, cool, that's it. There was still some interesting things to take away from the good route, but it was kind of more of like, all right, cool, that's it. You know what I mean? There's nothing. There was a little less to it than the bad route. But with that said, the bad route had gameplay that I didn't like. It was very Soma-esque, so it turned into this like thriller horror thing, but it kind of felt cheap. And there were times where, even though I was hiding, this robotic creature thing still got me. So it was very much like that. And then the checkpoints sucked around there, depending on like what happens and stuff like that. But the good route really had all these cool set pieces and stuff like that. It was really awesome, and I definitely did like the set pieces better in the good route. So I'll take that over the bad ending any day. And of course the weapons that came along with it. I like the good weapons. And then like the stuff that you get from the bad ending, the weapons you can get from the bad ending, it's like whatever, especially at that point where you reach the very end of the bad route. It's not worth it. So I hope to see if you can get these weapons back, but you probably have to like play more of the mission and stuff like that. I don't know. I hope to get all the iconic weapons at some point in Cyberpunk, but I still have to do things in Phantom Liberty. Which, speaking of which, even if you beat the main mission and stuff like that, there's still stuff to do, including all the other side missions that you possibly missed. So there's a lot of side missions to do. There's actually like reoccurring missions that you can do, especially like stealing cars. You get money that way. You can also get shards that increase your skills and stuff like that. It's really cool. So it's like a nice, fun way to level up your guy or gal or whatever, your character. But although a lot of these missions, though, like these car stealing missions, the checkpoint or whatever, or the drop point is very far. So that's like the only thing that kind of bothers me, but whatever. I guess they didn't want to really stretch out the driving or whatever. But so there is post stuff to do after the main missions in Phantom Liberty. So I do like that. I can go back and have some more fun with it, right? When it comes to the optimization, which is also very important, I do like it overall. It runs a lot smoother now, and especially with my upgrades and stuff like that, it really brings it out more. So I'm very much glad that it's a very stark contrast from playing from version 1 all the way up to version 2. Such a difference. There are some really bad slowdowns at times from the early on part of things, but not much here. Very rarely that happened. I just had to do the right settings, and it definitely brought out a lot of the game. I think I unfortunately had to turn off ray tracing because graphics card isn't that well equipped for ray tracing even at low. But really, I mean, I didn't really need it overall, I felt. I mean, ray tracing is kind of like a trivial thing to me because the game looked really good still, like even without ray tracing, I think, right? There were a lot of those set pieces, and those set pieces look still really good, and especially when it becomes like, 60 frames per second or whatever. It's pretty damn good looking game now with these optimizations. I was able to play it with 1440p, high settings, and stuff like that without ray tracing, granted, but still. And I had it on quality DLSS, so that actually really helped with the frame rate consistency and such. So that was essentially, yeah. So that essentially is one of the important things to take away from is the optimization too. Now, when it comes to the bugs and stuff like that, it still kind of happened. Like the funny glitches and stuff like that still happen. But some of the police officers just still pretty crazy. Like even though they are smarter, quote unquote, they still do some funny things, including the pedestrians as well. All the other like enemy AI do some weird stuff too at times. It's not perfect, but it is a lot better than before. What I will say though is that the police system um, is also better too, but still wonky at times. But a lot better, I would say. It just feels a little more realistic, quote unquote. But it still needs some work down the line. I say if it's still getting hot fixes and whatever. But it's very manageable, I would say. Although with that said, I unfortunately ran into some problems along the way. The game crashed twice. In one of the random fights, another just crashed on another fight, and then there were times where the menu locked up and I had to restart the game that way. And there were times where after certain missions, I couldn't access to my menus, man. I was locked out of my menus until I had to save and then reload the game, and then the menu was available. It's very weird. It's a very odd but and also annoying bug. So that was very annoying. But uh, I think overall though, those are the major ones I wanted to get out. Oh yeah, driving is still kind of soapy, but it's a lot more manageable. Like a lot of other things too. So that's another kind of important thing too, because the driving is also an important aspect in these games, and the vehicles too, especially, because these vehicles now have like weapons. They have like missiles, machine guns, and whatever. It's very much like Twisted Metal almost. But I unfortunately did not have too many missions where it really makes you use these weapons and stuff like that. So I can't really like say like, oh man, there's like Twisted Metal stuff in here. It's really cool. But I kind of wish there was like some sort of vehicle combat side mission stuff too that reoccurs. That'd be really cool. Or like more random encounters with like enemies and vehicles, right? That'd be really cool. Like when you're driving, you're just cruising and stuff like that. Have these like random encounters with the vehicles. That'd be so cool, right? Like these gangsters just like come up to you and be like, "Hey, shoot 'em," and then fucking try to shoot you up and shit. Kind of like how you kind of randomly encounter people when you're walking around, right? That'd be pretty cool. Kind of what happens in Edge Runners, right? The anime, like kind of what happened in the beginning. I kind of wish for that stuff to happen in Cyberpunk, but I don't know. Maybe later on it could happen. I don't know, but for right now though, I mean the driving is a lot more manageable. Vehicles are pretty cool, like with the missiles and machine guns and stuff like that are on them. The durability is also built into the skills as well, like their skill tree and stuff like that. There's so many changes from version 1.0. It definitely makes it a lot more refined game at this point. But it really makes me wish that this was the game that we got from the get-go, right? This could have been so much um, better, obviously, but that footprint, that impression could have been so much better, right? Of course. It unfortunately had, that terrible launch, but the anime really revived the interest within people, right? The players, and then they wanted to come back to it because it's just like the vibes was so much enhanced, definitely to say. You got the jacket from Edge Runners. I haven't got the shotgun yet, but I still have to pick up all those Edge Runner references and stuff like that in the game. The only thing I did was just the side quest where you can talk to Falco and pick up the jacket, which is pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. It doesn't take much to do, but it's still nice to be able to have some sort of connection with Edge Runners and 2077. You know, so it's pretty cool to see things like that. Because they pay respect to it. You can definitely see that to the point where even the skill trees, the icons, you see Rebecca in there. You see some of David, right? It's actually really cool of how much respect they are paying to Edge Runners because yes, it really did so much significance. It brought so much significance to the whole Cyberpunk 2077 franchise. It did a lot for it, and they are paying back the respects for it. So I really do like that. So I know this is a pretty long review, or and talk about it. I will wrap it up. With the fact that yes, it is a better game. It still has its bugs. It still has its kinks and funny little glitches and stuff like that. It's not perfect by any means, but when a lot of people say this should have been the Cyberpunk that came out, yes, of course, this should have been the Cyberpunk, right? Now the game is good and stuff like that. After all these years and you just have to take it for what it is, right? It's a fun game now. If you have time for it to come back to this, I highly recommend to do so. If you have $30 to cough up, you can get the Phantom Liberty expansion. You can experience the 2.0 changes yourself. But when it comes to like the Phantom Liberty story and stuff like that, you still, of course, have to um, uh, buy it yourself. And of course, I think you can get Dogtown along with that, which is why it's called expansion, right? You can unlock the town. But yeah, essentially is the gist of Phantom Liberty. So I'm not gonna really give it a score. Just like it's basically, I'm gonna say just go out and play if you have the chance, because of course it enhances the game. It makes the game better. You got more stuff to do, more missions, more characters, more stuff to do. More Cyberpunk. I love the overhauls. I love the changes, all that stuff, the guns, the weapons, the vehicles, everything. Everything it has to offer now is great. And it kind of makes me wish I have the time to do a entirely new build, and I could maybe do a female V to see what it's like, right? And pick Street Kid instead of Corpo. For those who are curious, I am Corpo. Um, that's essentially all there is to it, though. Uh, I do wonder though. I mean, I kind of wish that picking Corpo, Street Kid, and Nomad, have significance to them. But I think still, if I'm correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't really change up the ending. It doesn't really change a whole lot. It just kind of changes your dialogue. That's pretty much it, and that's superficial. But all in all this stuff, now Cyberpunk is good. Phantom Liberty is awesome, and if you want to go visit or go see Idris Elba, if you're a big fan of him, of course, his performance is great. Along with all the other characters too. They were great. They were fun. I had a fun time with it, and the story was a fun time. Nothing mind blowing, but still fun. And yeah, so if you like Cyberpunk, even with the bugs and glitches before, you're gonna really love this one. So, all right, I'm gonna wrap it up. I know this is a pretty long video. Thank you very much, and Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. If you have any comments about Cyberpunk, including Phantom Liberty, leave me down below. Love to check them out. And yeah, man, I got to see more Johnny Silverhand too, so pretty awesome. He wasn't as, let me say this, he wasn't as intrusive into the story as he was in the main, like, vanilla Cyberpunk story, because he kind of hogged up the limelight when someone like Jackie deserved more limelight, in my opinion. More other all the other characters here were able to shine, um, a good amount, and then Johnny didn't get in the way of that. So that I wanted to get out of the way. So now, yeah, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, all that fun stuff, comments down below, and yeah. So that's it for my review for Phantom Liberty. My sort of ad lib review for Phantom Liberty for Cyberpunk 2077. So thank you very much. I hope to see you all in the next video. Sean out.